Right now, while everyone's distracted by today's noise, a silent elite is being shaped by forces invisible to most. Let's expose them. Why trust and attention are replacing money as true power. What if I told you that money is becoming obsolete as the ultimate currency of influence? Let me hit you with something most people haven't figured out yet. We're living through a massive shift in what actually matters. While everyone's chasing dollars, the real players are accumulating something far more valuable: attention and trust. These are the new currencies that will define who holds power by 2035. Think about it. Attention has become the scarcest resource on the planet. Every corporation, every government, every algorithm is fighting for your eyes. But here's the twist. The winners aren't the ones screaming the loudest. They're the ones who've mastered what I call attention arbitrage. It's the ability to capture genuine engagement and redirect it with surgical precision. This isn't new strategy. Ancient negotiators understood this perfectly. They knew that power came from knowing exactly when to speak and when to stay silent, when to push and when to pull back. The greatest military minds never won through brute force alone. They won by understanding human psychology and exploiting moments of attention. Today's masters of influence are doing the same thing, just in digital spaces. They understand cognitive psychology, game theory, and behavioral patterns at levels that would make ancient philosophers jealous. And they're using this knowledge to shape how billions of people think, feel, and act without those people even realizing it. But attention alone isn't enough. You need trust. And in a world drowning in misinformation, deepfakes, and digital manipulation, trust has become the supreme currency. Building authentic trust is like forging a blade. It takes time, consistency, and absolute integrity. One crack and the whole thing shatters. The emerging leaders understand this. They're not chasing viral moments. They're building trust brick by brick through consistent action and delivered results. Just like legendary commanders built loyalty through their troops, not with empty speeches, but through decisions made with integrity under pressure. And here's where it gets really interesting. There's a new battlefield emerging: the metaverse and decentralized spaces. While most people dismiss this as tech nerd stuff, the real cultural Sherpas are already there, defining social norms and economic models for these emerging digital worlds. These pioneers aren't just creating games or avatars. They're building complete digital civilizations with economies, governance systems, and social structures. And whoever masters these dynamics will have influence over the next generation in ways we can't fully comprehend yet. The high-performance mindset here is crystal clear. The future belongs to those who understand that power isn't about force. It's about subtle influence, built trust, and strategically directed attention. But these digital shifts are only part of the story. There are biological revolutions happening that most people are completely blind to. How biology and data are creating an invisible new class. While you're worried about your phone battery, some people are literally rewriting the code of human biology. Here's what's really going down. Biogenomics and personalized medicine aren't just about curing diseases anymore. They're about prevention before problems even exist. They're about extending longevity. They're about optimized cognitive performance through genetics. This isn't science fiction. This is happening right now in discrete labs around the world. The pioneers in this space aren't just creating treatments. They're defining who lives longer, who gets access to biological enhancements, and how society will handle these inequalities. Think about the implications. We're talking about a potential biological divide between those who can afford genetic optimization and those who can't. These innovators are the new architects of human potential, and the elite of tomorrow will be composed of those who understand and master these technologies before they go mainstream. It's the same pattern we've seen throughout history. Those who see the shift early get to define the rules. Now flip the script to something that seems completely different, but follows the same logic. Data sovereignty and digital privacy have become battlefields. While most people mindlessly accept terms of service without reading, some visionaries are building systems that return data control to individuals. These architects of privacy aren't activists shouting in the streets. They're silent strategists building infrastructures that guarantee digital rights. They're ethical hackers who understand that whoever controls information controls the future, and they're creating the rules of engagement for a world where every click, every movement, every thought can be tracked. The discipline here mirrors what we see in elite military intelligence operations. It's about information warfare, but instead of nations, it's about individuals reclaiming power from corporations and governments. These aren't loud movements. They're silent revolutions happening in code and encryption. And then there's AI literacy, but not the kind you think. The real players emerging aren't just engineers who can build algorithms. They're thinkers who understand the ethical and social implications of artificial intelligence. They're the ones answering questions like, how far should a machine go in making decisions for us? How do we ensure technology doesn't amplify existing biases? This AI literacy isn't technical, it's philosophical, it's strategic. It's the new currency of global power. And whoever masters this won't just work with technology. They'll define the rules of the game for billions of people. They'll decide what's acceptable, what's dangerous, and what's the next frontier. The pattern is clear. While masses focus on using technology, the emerging elite is focused on controlling it, shaping it, and defining its ethical boundaries. But technology and biology aren't the only forces at play. Social dynamics are shifting in ways that completely flip traditional power structures. What if small communities hold more power than masses? Everyone's trying to go viral to millions, but the real influencers are building small tribes with insane engagement. Here's a secret most people missed. Power isn't in quantity anymore, it's in depth. The age of mass media is dying, and in its place, hyper-specific digital communities are rising. Not millions of passive followers, thousands of people deeply connected through shared values, goals, and worldviews. Think about great military strategists throughout history. They knew a small, highly trained, motivated unit was worth more than a disorganized army. Same logic applies today. A creator with 10,000 real, engaged followers has more power to create change than someone with 1 million ghost followers. These micro-influencers are defining trends, changing behaviors, and building movements that major media doesn't even notice. And this isn't just about social media. It's about how power itself is being redistributed. The discipline of building a loyal community mirrors the discipline of ancient monks who spent decades perfecting a single skill. It's high performance applied to building genuine relationships. Now, shift gears, but keep the same essence. Climate resilience and sustainable innovation have become fields where emerging leaders are rising. These aren't just environmentalists. They're strategists who understand that whoever masters scarce resource management will have absurd political and economic power in coming decades. We're talking about people creating adaptive infrastructures for cities that will face extreme climate conditions. We're talking about innovators developing desalination technologies, vertical farming, and decentralized renewable energy. These are the new titans, and most people don't even know they exist. They're applying the same strategic thinking that great commanders used in resource-limited warfare. How do you maximize impact with minimal resources? How do you turn constraints into advantages? How do you build systems that survive and thrive under pressure? And here's the final crucial point. Traditional education is dead. Anyone who still believes a diploma guarantees success is living in the past. The differentiator now is the capacity to continuously reskill. It's the lifelong learning mentality. It's understanding that the discipline of unlearning and relearning is more valuable than any certificate. The leaders of 2035 won't be those who accumulated the most degrees. They'll be those who adapted fastest to technological, social, and economic changes. It'll be whoever mastered the art of constant reinvention. Drop adaptation in the comments if you understand this is the most critical skill for the future. And tell me, are you building real community or just stacking empty numbers? If this content is hitting different, smash that like button and subscribe. We've got more success archaeology coming your way. These shifts are all connected to something even deeper. A fundamental change in what we consider valuable is underway. Why? The silent architects of now are building tomorrow's power. You think today's headlines matter? The real story is being written by people you've never heard of. Something fascinating is happening right under everyone's nose. While most people are glued to loud news, social media drama, and empty promises from motivational gurus, a silent transformation is occurring. It's the invisible hand, not conspiracy theory, not coincidence. It's a historical pattern that's been repeating forever. Consider this. In the 1990s, while everyone thought the internet was just for nerds, some visionaries were quietly building what would become Silicon Valley. They weren't on magazine covers. They didn't have millions of followers. They were just identifying a subtle shift in how information would be processed, and it changed everything. Same dynamic happened with the rise of early corporations during the Industrial Revolution. While eyes were on Napoleonic Wars and European political drama, entrepreneurs were discreetly building railroads, factories, and financial systems that would dominate the next century. High performance was never about following the obvious. It was always about identifying trends nobody else is paying attention to. Today, we're living the same phenomenon, but the invisible forces have changed. They're not factories or search algorithms anymore. They're much more subtle and much more powerful. We're talking about mindsets being reprogrammed, values being redefined, and skills that haven't even been fully understood by the mainstream yet. These invisible forces are creating a new type of elite, an elite that doesn't just depend on money or traditional connections, an elite that masters the art of adaptability, that deeply understands how attention and trust work in a chaotic world. And what's most interesting is these people are using strategies that ancient generals, philosophers, and great negotiators knew centuries ago. The difference is these strategies are now being applied in completely new contexts: ethical AI development, biogenomic innovation, digital privacy architecture, decentralized community building, climate adaptation leadership. These are the new battlefields where tomorrow's power structures are being built today. And whoever doesn't understand this will be left behind watching without understanding what happened. The question isn't whether you'll be impacted by these changes. The question is whether you'll notice them in time, whether you'll be an observer or a participant in building the future. Now that you've seen all the pieces, let's put them together and understand how you can leverage this. How to spot and leverage these invisible forces in your life. Everything you just discovered only matters if you know how to apply it. Let's do that right now. All these subtle trends we've explored aren't isolated. They're interconnected, forming a new archetype of elite. An elite that looks nothing like last century's power holders. This new generation of leaders prioritizes three things above everything else: radical adaptability, ethical influence, and sharp future vision. Adaptability isn't about being unstable. It's about having the discipline to change strategy without losing your core values. Ancient military strategists called this tactical flexibility. With strategic firmness, you adapt to the terrain but never lose sight of the final objective. Ethical influence means understanding that power without purpose is destructive. Great thinkers knew that true leadership comes from serving something bigger than yourself. It's not about accumulating power. It's about using power to create lasting, positive impact. And this isn't empty motivational talk. It's long-term strategy, because whoever builds influence based on solid values creates legacies that survive generations. And sharp future vision is the ability to see beyond the obvious. It's looking at subtle trends and connecting dots before others do. It's having the mindset of an archaeologist who finds ancient fragments and reconstructs entire civilizations. Except instead of looking backward, you're looking forward. So the question becomes, how do you identify these trends in your own life? Simple. Stop following headlines. Start paying attention to what nobody's talking about. What technologies are emerging in obscure niches? What small communities are quietly growing? What skills will be essential 5 years from now, but are still ignored today? The difference between observing and participating lies in action. You can watch this video, agree with everything, and do nothing. Or you can start today building the skills, relationships, and mindset that will put you ahead of the curve. The choice has always been yours. The invisible hand is already in motion. The question is, will you let it pass you by? Or will you grab the opportunities it brings? Will you be part of the masses reacting to changes? or part of the elite creating them? Your next move determines which side you're on. If you made it this far, drop invisible in the comments so I know you're part of the group that sees beyond the obvious. Tell me, which of these trends had you already noticed? And which one surprised you most? Smash that like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to stop following the mainstream and start building their own future. Use the word future when you share. The archaeology of success continues. This content is for educational and informational purposes only. The analyses presented are based on observable trends and studies of historical patterns. They do not constitute professional, financial, or career advice. Always seek specialized guidance for important decisions.